Super excited, super delighted that you're joining me today. Hey, listen, thank you very much for joining me today on Market Faith. We want to welcome you specially, all right? It's the last Sunday in the month of June 2022, and we're just so grateful and glad, for being here. So yeah, Rita, great to know that you're joining from Kenya. Okay, all right. Tokwe makes yummy desserts. I can tell you that Tokwe's desserts are yummy and they are wonderful. Okay. Sia makes handmade bath and body products. Wow, awesome. That's amazing. Great. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. All right, so we want to dive into this. Today is the last day where we want to talk about some of the unseen drivers of business growth, right? What are some of the things, and we started talking about this from the beginning of the month, that what are some of the things that affect growth of your business that many people don't really talk about, and they are largely unseen, and all of that, right? What are some of those things that drive business, that drives growth within an organization? All right, okay, great. Kinga is into printing. That's great. That's fantastic. I really like design and all of that. All right, so what are some of the things that drive growth within our businesses, within our organizations? And those are the things that we've been talking about. Those are the things we've been covering over the last 3 weeks. Today we want to talk about one more thing, and then next week we want to move into something else and talk a bit more about maybe some of the things that you don't normally hear, and you don't always talk about. People don't always talk about when it comes to business and the things that we do. All right, so today I want to talk about the one of the unseen drivers of growth, that the way I've described it is an insatiable desire, an insatiable hunger, insatiable appetite for knowledge, right? And to understand and to learn and to do things. Because listen, one of the hallmarks of the person who will be successful in business is the mindset of questioning things. In fact, I was watching a lecture that was delivered in Stanford University, and they were talking about what makes entrepreneurs. Why are entrepreneurs different, and what exactly are some of the characteristics that entrepreneurs have that most other people don't have? And one of the biggest and more fundamental things they talked about is the fact that entrepreneurs question things a lot, right? So when an entrepreneur enters a particular space and sees a particular thing out of place, they question things. They want to know why. They're asking questions, wanting to understand why things are the way they are. All right, so when an entrepreneur gets into an environment and gets into a place, they're asking questions. They want to know, and things like that. They have an inquisitive mind. This is something that you can develop. You don't need to be inquisitive naturally to operate inquisitively as an entrepreneur. What you need to do, and we'll talk about it this evening, is find a way to systematically ensure that you ask the right questions in your environment. Okay, so the people who will succeed in their business are always looking to learn, especially when they know, right? Listen, let me say this to you. Many of us know what we are doing. We know our business. We know the things that are going on inside out. And many times that is the reason why we don't do what we are supposed to do. Listen, when you find entrepreneurs who are specialists or experts, other people are the ones that call them experts. They don't call themselves experts, because they know that, listen, whatever it is that I know, I still need to know more to be better and to do well. And today I want to try and make it as practical for you as possible. So let's assume you bake cakes, right? You're a fantastic person when it comes to baking cakes. Everybody talks about how wonderful your cakes are. One will think that you don't have much to learn anymore, but that's not true. You always have to keep setting the bar, because excellence is a moving target. Please write that down. If you can type it there in the comments. Excellence is a moving target. What that means is this: what was excellent yesterday is no longer excellent today. There was a time when having AC, air conditioning in your car was excellent, right? but there was a time, but now having air conditioning in your car is essentially a given. Okay, so what that means is this: excellence is a moving target. Whenever you feel like you don't need to improve in an area because you've already mastered that area, then you will soon find yourself outdated. Why? What was excellent yesterday is not excellent tomorrow. So yes, your cakes taste great, but they can taste better. Excellence is a moving target. So what was excellent today is not often excellent tomorrow. So when people call you an expert, you need to be careful, because learners, entrepreneurs don't call themselves experts. They are only experts at one thing. They are experts at learning. They are experts at understanding and learning how to grow. So one of the things people don't see about entrepreneurs, if you see any great entrepreneur today, if you spend 1 hour with them, right, you will probably do most of the talking. They will do most of the listening and ask you more questions. I've gone to mentors and I've seen mentors where I'm the one coming to look for mentorship, right? And the way they're asking me questions, I'm wondering, who is the person looking for mentorship here? Is it me or you? Why? Because great minds know how to ask great questions. So today, that's what we want to talk about. How can you be a better learner? Because you can become a better learner by becoming better at asking questions, at asking the right questions. Okay, so when you find entrepreneurs who know what they are doing, they can learn from Satan if Satan permits them. They can learn from the devil. They can learn from anything and anyone. They will ask small children questions. They will ask old people questions. They are always asking questions. They ask great questions and they question everything. Listen to me. If, for example, you know that maybe in the graphic design business, in the printing business, because one of our online viewers today is in the printing business. Now, if you know that in the printing business, right, maybe you have to do color separation first before you now do plates and things like that. I don't know how it works, right? But if you know you need to do that, and everybody knows that in the industry, one of the things you can do is find out why that is the case. Some of us just accept certain things because that's the way we've been told, but we must learn to question things, especially if you are going to be innovative. So, insatiable appetite to learn. They've structured learning into their lives. When you see great entrepreneurs, one of the things they don't tell you if you don't ask is that they have structured learning into their lives. They have found a way to be people who are always learning, whether or not they want to or they choose not to, right? And I'll tell you and I'll share some of those things with you today, and I'm hoping you can adopt them in your business as you move forward. So the nature of knowledge is such that it piles up, right? Entrepreneurs understand that they cannot remember what they have not learned. Let me say this to you. This thing is very, very important. Many of you, sometimes you pray and say, Father, that which I do not know, show me, and things like that. Listen to me. Let me tell you something. It is very difficult to bring to your remembrance something that you have not learned. Let me put it another way. You cannot make withdrawals from a place where you have not yet made a deposit. So knowledge and learning sometimes is like making deposits. The day you need to make withdrawal, it can come out of you. But if you have never made those deposits, then there is nothing to withdraw. So I'm saying this to you because as you go on in your journey in entrepreneurship, you must continue to gather knowledge. Sometimes it will look like you are gathering knowledge just for the sake of it. Let me tell you this, you are not gathering knowledge for the sake of it. One day that knowledge will become useful, especially as you grow as an adult, because your retentive capacity and all those things become better, right, as you go in life. Okay, so this thing that I'm sharing with you is very, very important. So I want to share with you 6 things that you can do to be a better learner. 6 things that you can do to be better at asking questions, because this is one of the greatest secrets of fantastic entrepreneurs, but they never talk about it. They don't say it much. They ask questions, they are learning, they want to know more and more. All right, so the first thing I want to say to you is this: make a habit of looking for information in an area where you are currently struggling. Make a habit of looking for information in an area where you are currently struggling. Let's give an example. Let's assume you run a restaurant business or you run a graphic design business and you are not making sales. I want to ask you a question. How many books have you read specifically about the area of issue that you have in your business? I'm not talking about reading general business books. I'm talking about specific related to the thing that you are struggling with. Let me give you an example. Let's assume you run a baking business, or you run a fashion business, but the nature of your business is such that you are still in your house. You are still operating from your backyard. You cannot get a store. You cannot get a shop. You cannot expand. You cannot do all of that. Have you found information specifically on how to expand a fashion business? Have you found information specifically on how to grow certain areas of your business? One of the things I find about great entrepreneurs is that they know how to look for information, not just general information, but information in the area where they specifically need it. So for example, let's say you are struggling with developing a new product in your business. They know how to do research and find information with that specific area. If you are struggling with, let's assume you are struggling with sales, right? The question is this: how are other people making sales? Are you researching to understand that particular issue, not just generic issues around business, around how does a business grow, how does a business succeed? No, that's not what you're looking for. You are looking for specific things that will address the situation that you have at any particular point in time. So the first thing I want to say to you is this: make a habit of looking for information in an area where you are currently struggling. Let me say this to you: whenever you are struggling, the area where you struggle with the most is the area where you have the least information about. The area of business that you struggle with the most is the area of business you have the least information about. So if you struggle with getting customers into your business, I can bet you that your quality of your research into how to get customers into your business is very low. I'm 100% certain. 100%. If you struggle with how to hire people, right, within your business, you have not read enough books about hiring people within the business. I can almost guarantee. So why am I saying this to you? Because if you want to change, and if you want growth, if you want to improve in your business, you must understand that how much information, listen, if you are struggling financially, one of the things I recommend for people to do is this: read as many books as your age when you are struggling financially. If you are struggling financially and you are 30 years old, read 30 books on finances. That's how aggressive you need to get to excel and to succeed in the things that you're doing. And I know what I'm talking about, because even for me, when I come here to teach and when I come here to share certain information with you, I spend quite a bit of time trying to research and understand the things I'm going to share with you. I don't just rely on residual knowledge, because what I know can be outdated. So that's the first thing I want to say. And listen, let me say this to you. And we'll get into the other things, but let me digress just a little bit. And it's not digression, I'm actually still on point. Listen, never expect answers on the surface. Don't just take people's word. When you ask people questions, don't just take their word for it. Let me explain what I mean. When you go online to do research on a particular issue, some of us never go beyond the first 10 pages that Google shows us. Listen, never take the answer, because the best answers are not always the ones that show up first. The best answers are not always the ones that show up first. So never just take surface answers. Some of you will go and meet some people and say, "Sir, how are you doing this thing?" And the person says, "It's the grace of God." And you say, "Hey, yeah," and you walk away. That is not sufficient answer for you. You need to learn to ask deeper questions and say, "Sir, I understand that it is the grace of God, but how exactly did the grace of God work to make this thing happen?" Do not, and I repeat, do not take surface answers. In fact, let me say this to you. Personally, I don't expect that when I ask somebody a question, the first answer they give me is the best answer they've got. Personally. And the reason is very simple. Because most times, many people remember the peripheral things that they do, the deep things that they do to get the kind of result they want, right? They need to think deeply. But if you are satisfied with just any answer they provide, and you don't know how to probe further, you will not get the real gist. Am I making sense to you today? All right. It's dig deeper. Learn to dig deeper. Learn to dig deeper. Learn to dig deeper. In those days in Gold Coast in Ghana, right? They say that you could just find, gold on the surface and things like that. But the real deal was within the ground. You had to dig. You have to dig. So never take surface answers for an answer. Dig deeper. Now, number two, the second thing you can do to become a person that learns is have 3 questions. How many questions? 3 questions prepared that you ask anyone you admire. Prepare 3 questions. Listen, one of the things I do is that I know that in the course of my daily life, I will meet great people that I want to ask them questions. So I have 3 or 4 questions that every time I meet somebody, these 3 questions I must ask. The question is, find your own, right? Somebody can ask the question and say, what's the biggest influence on you? Depending on what you're looking for, right? What's the biggest reason? Listen, if you were to give me 2 things that have been greatest factors of your success over the last 5 years, what would those 2 things be? Write down 3 questions. 3 questions that anytime you see anybody great, they are conversation starters for you. And you have memorized those questions, because it shows an area of business that you want to learn in. So have 3 questions that you ask no matter what happens. Number 3, right? Look for a pattern you can model your business after, right? For example, if you sell groceries, right? Do you want to model your business after Walmart or after Tesco in the UK? Why is this important? When you model your business after a particular pattern, one of the things it does is that you stay up to date with what they are doing, and you can take ideas from what they are doing, modify it into your context, and deploy it and get results. I'm telling you the truth. There are Nigerian businesses that I see that when I see these businesses operate and I see them execute certain ideas, I know where they got them from. But guess what? They are doing well, because I've seen those ideas in some of those businesses internationally as well. So one of the things entrepreneurs do is that they find, so for example, if you run a food business, right? Maybe you want to model look for an organization somewhere around the world that is doing something similar to what you're trying to do, and find a way to model and pattern your business after some of the things they do. Why? Because let me in fact, one of the examples that just came to my mind is if you run a serviced accommodation or an Airbnb business, right? One of the things they tell you when you run that type of business is that look for an area where there are hotels. It's very likely that in the place where there are hotels, number one, the hoteliers have done their research, so they know the areas that there is high demand. If you place your Airbnb in those areas, you are most likely to get customers. Why? You and I know that when it comes to real estate, location is more important than almost anything else. So if a proper hotel comes into a location, it is good evidence that your Airbnb business may do well in that particular area. What am I trying to tell you? If you follow the pattern, because you don't have the resources that these hotels have, so leverage on the knowledge that they've secured. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. You don't have the resources that some of these guys have in their businesses, but you can leverage on the resources that they have deployed and the research they have done to get something proper for yourself. Number 4, attend foreign conferences. Number 4, try as much as possible to attend foreign events and foreign conferences. Try as much as you possibly can. Some of you may go, if you travel for summer, right? If your summer vacation is 3 weeks, look for 1 week to attend a conference. Structure your summer vacation around a particular week as well. But try as much as possible to attend a foreign conference. And let me tell you, this is the clincher. When you go for the foreign event, ask questions. I've seen people who travel abroad, right? I remember, those days we used to go for a lot of conferences for the church I was attending, or the church I attend, in the US, in South Africa, in all these places, right? Sometimes my pastor goes to Australia. But let me tell you what will happen. Every time we get there, after the whole conference is over, many people are rushing to their hotel. They want to go and rest. They want to go and relax. I want to ask you a question. Did you go there to go and rest, or you went there for knowledge? So it is our own conference starts when everybody has gone. That's when we will now engage the sound engineer. How are you doing this light? How is this light working? How is your sound performing? How is it that you guys are able to deliver this type of result that we are not able to deliver in Africa? What is it that you know that we don't know? By the time everybody has gone after the conference, we go and sit down with the organizers. We start asking them questions. We start doing interview. We've paid for the conference now. Abi, we've paid for the conference. So we are digging deep. We are digging deep. Why? Because people come to you, right, with prepared prepared answers whenever you are in a gathering. And those gatherings are good, but we are not in a hurry to go. We paid money to get there. So some people, I've seen people who go for conferences, and immediately the conference is over, they jet out. They don't meet anybody. They don't ask questions. They don't do nothing. Don't be like that. See, because somebody says, oh, maybe why can't I attend this thing online? Listen, what I'm telling you in terms of sitting down with people and asking them questions, you may not be able to do that online. So let me say this to you. If you run an event business, let's assume you do events. The question is this: is there an international event conference that you can attend? Attend it in Ghana, attend in Kenya, attend in Rwanda, go to the UK, go to the US, go to France, anywhere they will give you visa. Go to Dubai. You don't need visa to get into Dubai. Attend one. Just try. Attend one. And when you get there, sit down with the organizers of the events, not just other event planners. How did you guys do this? This job, this business, how did you get this contract? And there's no question you cannot ask them. And let me tell you something. You have to not be shy when it comes to asking questions. Because if people feel like you are probing too much, you'll probably only see them once in your life. So there's no big deal there. When we go, we ask all sorts of questions. We can ask them, how do you... let me tell you something. Whenever we travel abroad for conferences, we visit the toilets. We want to know what is in their toilet. What is making people come to these people's church? We want to know. So we visit the toilet, we visit the children's church, we visit their lounge, we visit their office. We want to see the way their offices are structured. Why? So that I can have a pattern. When I go back home, I can reproduce and produce results. So listen, I know that some people may say, oh, I can't afford it, etc. Listen, plan that in 2023 you will go for one. Start saving towards it. If you spend in naira, save 50,000 naira every month, that will be 600,000. 600,000 thereabout. If you save every month for 12 months, in 1 year you can afford a ticket that will travel. You will travel to Dubai. So that's number 4. Number 5, secure foreign partnerships or affiliations. Foreign partnerships or affiliations. One of the ways you improve is find out what the other guys are doing. Because listen, most likely people are already copying themselves in your local environment, but nobody is copying from abroad. When you copy from abroad, you put it in your local context. By the time you deploy it, people will be copying you. They won't know where your source is. The genius is the one that hides the source. So in those foreign events that you attend, start engaging people for foreign partnerships. Even if all they do is do knowledge exchange, that's okay. If they don't give you business, all they do is give you knowledge. They give you their systems, they give you their processes and the things that they do. You've done well. I need to close. Number 6, the last thing I'll say is this, right? Because foreign partnerships open you up to another level. Deploy a systematic approach. Deploy a systematic approach to learning. What does that mean? Some of you may need to look for coaches. Look for coaches, and some of those coaches pay. Find a coach that you can pay a small amount of money on a regular basis. If you can't find a coach that you can pay, find people who can coach you, but find a systematic way. Another systematic way is that every month, list out 2 or 3 things you want to learn that month. Whenever I do end of the month review, I sit down and I ask myself, how has the month of June 2022 been? What do I want to learn differently in the month of July? And I start working towards it. I'm encouraging you now as an entrepreneur that at the end, when you do your review every single month or every week, ask yourself, what new thing did I learn this past week? And what new things do I want to learn in the next week? I know what I'm trying to develop myself in the areas I'm trying to develop myself in. I have something called Audible that I pay for. It's about $14.95 every single month. It gives me access to the platform. It gives me access to the solution, right? And I'm able to buy a book regularly, at least a book a month at the minimum. Sometimes I buy much more than that, obviously, right? But at least a book a month. What that does for me is that it structures my learning. So if I'm trying to learn about hiring people, I can Google books and read people's review about which books are good and buy the one that I know will help my business or help me based on what I am going through now. Why? Adults learn on a need-to-know basis. You will learn more when you are going through something than when you are not going through that thing yet. You will learn more when you are going through something than when you are not yet going through that thing. So I hope it's been very helpful for you today. We've talked about 6 things, right? That, practical things that you can do, right, to become better at learning and better at making progress when it comes to, understanding more about what you do. Never get to the point where you feel like you are an expert in what you are doing. Always be open to understanding and learning. If people are doing things and what they are doing is not working, try and learn why it is not working so that you also do not try that in the future. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of our teaching today. I trust that has been very helpful for you. All right, I hope it's been very helpful. Thank you. All right, I can see the feedback. Thank you, it's been very helpful. All right, thank you, Femi. Thank you very much.